As my time in the York circuit draws to a close, I thought it might be useful to offer a few reflections and thoughts on the way forward. Digital and online platforms are the 21st century equivalent of the Roman roads used to spread the gospel back in the 1st century. Last year, after several conversations, we devised a digital strategy, the overall vision, to create a cross-church community integrated both physically and digitally, which supports interaction with church activities and worship through a variety of platforms in order to grow discipleship and reach new followers of Jesus. And that remains a valid vision. 96% of UK households now have an internet connection, with around 75% using social media. So it's an enormous mission field with the potential to engage and reach out new ways. The church has had to develop digital solutions at an unusual speed, really, for the church due to the circumstances of the pandemic, although perhaps this was no bad thing. We learned how to use Zoom. We learned how to be creative with online music and videos. Now generations could support one another with technology. We learned how people could easily gather online, even if far away, and made new connections, and people got to know each other within and across churches. I remember a few comments made to me about Zoom. It was good to get to know everybody's name, and it was nice to look at faces rather than the back of their heads. And so bumpily, and with ever-changing restrictions, in-person meetings and worship resumed, and we now have a so-called hybrid world with opportunities to meet in person and online. Of course, there's a temptation to go back to mostly what the non-digital world looked like before the pandemic, but there is, or there should be at least, a new normal in which digital and online offerings are a key part of the church's engagement with its congregation and wider community, with different routes in according to people's preferences. So I just want to offer 4 suggestions for ways to keep developing and experimenting with digital, what I think is still a great opportunity to communicate the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. So firstly, let's keep using Zoom or similar tools. I believe, and I've experienced, there's a special dynamic to online meetings when managed correctly. It can be easy to get to know people you don't know. And I've built some very fruitful relationships on Zoom with people I've never met in person. And the Zoom meeting doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be the main Sunday service. It can be a Bible study, a prayer meeting, or sharing things that have inspired you. It should be a part of the mix of a church's economy, a church's life. Secondly, we've now built in the circuit a digital infrastructure with several churches equipped for streaming services and events. So let's exploit what we've got, experiment with the possibilities. For example, some places have tried receiving parts of a service broadcast from somewhere else while still having parts of the service led locally. Different styles of service could be offered. There's lots of opportunities. The third thing I would say is let's keep using social media, web pages, and online communication more effectively. A lot of social media, of course, doesn't come naturally to us as reticent Christians. At a recent webinar we had on social media, one person shared how she just used Facebook in an everyday way to share church events and communicate with her networks. I don't know why more people don't use it, she said. We can generate some great content, but we don't always make it very accessible. Perhaps a 2-minute sermon might be more suitable than an hour-long service. And the final thing I would say is about training and learning and support. If you don't feel confident about the new online world, there's a lot of good support material out there. And in the last few months, we've held some really good webinars about various topics with digital, for which the recordings and the information are available. In summary then, our goal is to transform both ourselves and the society around us to better represent God's values and vision for human life. To do that, we have to utilise all the channels open to us in the 21st century.